So, when Europeans came to the royal family, they discussed trade agreements. So the royal family left to the Western world to visit and discuss trade agreements in Europe. They were killed in Britain under secret order of the Brotherhood. Those in power, the Canaanite royal bloodline, already knew about the New World. Christopher Columbus knew the world wasn't flat. Anyone in power knew that truth. European common man had no idea. Christopher Columbus had exact coordinates of the Western world and went there not as the real captain. Many ships sailed to the Western world after the chief and queen had been killed. Their objective was to land and begin settlement. Christopher Columbus was to first sail to China for supplies. Then he was to go to the Western world to assist another captain. The story of Pocahontas and John Smith is somewhat like the story of the unknown captain and Princess America, who was the daughter of the chief and queen who had been killed. Princess America was a clever young woman, and America spelled Amerika. She and her brother were left in charge of the land when her parents left. Princess America didn't trust the Europeans, and when they returned without her parents, she sensed something was wrong. Going back a little, when the Hopi kingdoms were set up, Gematria, sacred geometry, was practiced. When the Brotherhood of the Red Dragon infiltrated, and the floods happened, many people after that became pagans, the unexplained Gematria. Those who were infected by the Red Dragon were taught as religious faith that one day the Great White Brother would come and return to them and bring them to their home planet or take care of them in later on times. So in times of Princess America, the great kingdom of the Hopi was split and in disagreement. The pagan tribes ate meat, they killed for clothing, and lost touch with their spirituality. Over years, Europeans helped them become materialistic. The Europeans settled and grew closer to the pagan tribes. The Gematria tribes, led by the Princess America, didn't trust the Europeans. Their princess set up her army and kidnapped the unknown captain. This was the captain who was there before Christopher Columbus. When this happened, Christopher Columbus became in charge. The original plan of the Europeans, given by the royal families of Britain, was to settle, multiply, and claim the land for the King of England, not for trade agreements. Captains went along with this because of greed, the influence of alcohol, and with the brainwashed thought that the native people were savage and if not controlled could eventually be dangerous to Europe. This seemed to be how the royal Canaanite family convinced the public to not question the morals of taking slaves. The term God-fearing Englishmen began. This meaning the English were doing God's work of securing the earth from the devils and by educating the barbarians. At least this is what the common man was supposed to believe. They also believed that the world was flat, mind you. The unknown captain had been kidnapped by Princess America. Language was a barrier, yet they still seemed to be able to somewhat communicate. Over time, the unknown captain, who Europeans thought was dead, learned to speak the native language. He also began to fall in love with the princess. Eventually, he told the princess about the Europeans' plans. He felt used by the King of England, tricked into being a God-fearing Englishman, realizing that these people weren't savages. They were spiritual, not materialistic. He decided to go back to his people and teach them of what was really happening. As he returned to his people and told them that he had lived alongside of the natives and told him that they were they weren't a threat to Europe and that Europe had no right to take this land. Christopher Columbus rejected and told the crew that the unknown captain had been brainwashed and was losing his mind due to being homesick and lovesick, and that he was only thinking with his heart, a feminine trait, and not the trait of a powerful leader. They killed him, then brutally attacked the village where Princess America was, killing her as well. The murderers were hidden, and a story was made up. Her name became the name of the land for two separate reasons. One being that she was a well-respected princess, and many knew her name but didn't know how she died. Her name was a representation of greatness. So this is one of the reasons why the land became known as America, but changed with the C, obviously, in later years. The other reason is the goddess Columba. Well, let's go back. Christopher Columbus used his name Columba to basically as a code of how he took over the land. The Statue of Liberty, her real name is Columba. The reason for that is depicted after Christopher Columbus of overtaking this land. Now, there's also another reason why the Statue of Liberty looks the way she does. That's because it comes after the goddess Isis, and it later on is not really the goddess Isis. That was more or less a cover-up. It's actually the goddess, or who wanted to be the goddess, but it was Semiramis, Nimrod's mother, who wanted to be like the goddess Isis. She wanted to have that title and be as great or even greater than Isis. So the lady with who looks like the Statue of Liberty, who's called Columba, who's taken after Columbus, who defeated Princess America for the land of America. And this is where it all comes down to. But that lady is actually Semiramis. You see Semiramis and all with the crown, the spike crown around her head. In every picture, they basically look very much the same. Now, again, I rushed through this very quickly, but here's a quote from George Washington as a Freemason. "Native Americans are wolves and beasts who deserve nothing from whites but total ruin." Now, that's from George Washington. So you get basically the picture of how Europeans did feel when, or not to say Europeans in general, but the Freemasonry movement of what happened when they were coming to take over America. It wasn't to liberate or any other false lies that America is used to giving. Again, for those of you who still don't believe me, in Kahnawake right now, the band council, is run by Freemasons. This is why you have a problem with your tobacco. I know this because I see this firsthand.